Thank you very much, and welcome everybody to this online meeting of the Employment Committee. Please note it is being broadcast and recorded. Please note there are no items for decision on this agenda, therefore a formal meeting in person in the committee is not required, and we're meeting virtually to receive the update from Assistant Director of HR, OD and Payroll, Paul Young. So agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
I've received apologies from Councillor Gilby.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any apologies to give? No. I can see members of the committee who are in attendance at the top of the screen. Their names will be recorded in the minutes. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. The full text for the declarations of interest is set out in the agenda, but if any member does have a disclosable pecuniary interest or an effective interest, please do declare it now and I will come to you in turn. I can't see anybody's got their hands up. Thank you. So no declarations of interest, but I can remind you that you can make a declaration at any time should it occur to you. Agenda item 3, minutes from the previous meeting. If anybody has any comments they wish to make, please do make them, but because we're not sitting in the council chamber as a committee, we will have to approve them when we're all next together next time in the chamber. But does anybody have anything they'd like to add to the minutes of the last meeting? Okay. Agenda item 4, urgent items of business. Are there any urgent items of business today?
No, non-notified, Chair.
Right. Okay, agenda item 5, update from the chair of the local joint committee. That's me. We met at 4 o'clock this afternoon and received an update from Paul on the ongoing negotiations between the trade unions and the national employers. As I say, the negotiations are ongoing, and we'll know more next week whether they come to an agreement in terms of the claims the trade unions have made and the response from the national employers. The representative from the trade union didn't have anything to add, nothing further was raised, so it was a fairly straightforward meeting. Agenda item 6, unless anybody else has any questions on that. No. Agenda item 6, minutes of subgroups. So asking you to note the minutes of the local joint committee held on the 11th of July 2024. Again, we will, if anybody has anything to add there, please do say something now, but we will again have to approve them when we're next together in the council chamber.
I think they're only for noting anyway, so I don't think they're for approving as such. They're approved because we actually approved them at the local joint committee.
Right, yes, well, they were approved. Agenda item 7, thank you, Councillor Allen. Agenda item 7, the 2024 pay award update. Over to you, Paul Young, please. Thank you to present this item.
Thank you, Chair. Right, I'm going to attempt to share a screen, and hopefully this works. Not too familiar with can you see that?
Can't see anything yet. Now, yes, it's up now.
Right. Okay, fine. Some of this will be familiar to the committee because we provided an update very similar to this at the Employment Committee back in July, but I just wanted to have the opportunity to provide an update of the current situation. For the committee's view, that this is the pay award which is due from the 1st of April 2024, and it covers the Green Book workforce, which includes the majority of the council staff, with the exception of certain groups, which is the Chief Executive, Executive Director and the Assistant Directors. For the Chief Executives, the pay award is still outstanding, but for the Executive Directors and Assistant Directors and the senior salary grades, that pay award has gone through at 2.5%. And that has already gone through, as I said, I think that was in June, and it's backdated to April. So the one that we're talking about now is the Green Book workforce, which does cover the majority of staff across the council. The only other option, the Salisbury officers also is still outstanding. Just to remind committee, the trade union claim came through in March, and just an overview of that. It was a claim for either £3,000 or a 10% increase, whichever was the greater. Also, together with a reduction in the working week of 2 hours, an additional 1 day's leave for well-being, and review of pay gaps for equality. Excuse me, I've got a bit of cold at the moment. And a phased approach to reaching £15 per hour. So that was a union claim that came in. So Councillor McLean has got his hand up. I'm happy to take the question now, Chair.
I was going to wait till the end. Go on.
I'm happy to wait till the end. It was sort of a question that wasn't directly related to this, but more to the Chief Executive's position, but I can wait.
Okay, should we hold until you finish, Paul?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thank you. So the trade union claim came in, as I say, at in March time. The process then goes through to the national employers to consider the claim, engage with local authorities, and to come back with a pay offer. The response on that basis was as so, which was an increase of the £1,290 on pay spine points from 2 to 43 inclusive, and then a 2.5% increase in all pay points above 0.43 plus 2.5% on allowances. That was rejected by trade unions with a view to looking at pressuring the national employers to offer a greater deal. There has been some toing and froing going on back and forth, but the bottom line is the national employers' response is saying that is the full and final offer. As far as the latest developments are concerned, the trade unions have requested a further review for the national employers. That was in the beginning of August time. That was on the back of seeing some pay deals across the public sector at a higher level than what was being proposed across local government. So the trade unions responded to that by requesting a review on that, pointing that out. But the national employers have reconfirmed the offer that has been made is full and final. As a result, all three trade unions balloted their membership for proposed acceptance or refusal of the award, and the GMB membership voted in favour to accept the pay offer. So that's one of the three main trade unions have accepted. However, Unison and Unite, their membership have voted to reject the pay offer, and they're currently balloting their membership for industrial action. That ballot doesn't close until the 16th of October. So we're in a position now just to wait to actually see the output of that before we know what the position is going to be. The part of the discussion we had briefly at the local joint council earlier on this afternoon was just reconfirming the position on this, in that any proposed industrial action is actually a national challenge rather than anything against Bracknell Forest, because we're part and parcel of the national negotiating body. Excuse me. So on that basis, if and should there be any industrial action, it could be against Bracknell Forest as an individual employer, or it could be a wider case of industrial action across the country. So we'll have to wait and see the outcome of that. And as I say, the outcome of that is not going to be known for probably another couple of weeks. Okay, that's a quick overview and an update of where we're at with the position. So I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that update. Councillor McLean.
As I say, my question isn't directly related to the pay negotiations, though perhaps it might be helpful if, Paul, you could outline who's actually conducting the pay negotiations on behalf of the employers. But my substantive question was to the chairman of the employment committee, actually, because it's just occurred to me. George, are you involved in the chief executive's appraisal process? Because certainly when I was chairman of the employment committee, I was one of the members of the chief executive's appraisal process, and I wasn't sure if that was still continuing. And whilst it's not directly related to pay negotiations, it is part of the arrangements we have with the chief executive.
Well, thank you for raising it. It's not something that I have been has been put on my radar yet, but I would be very happy to be involved in that. But it's not something it's been mentioned to me. Paul, I don't know whether you have anything to add there. Might have lost Paul.
It appears he's trying to rejoin now.
That wasn't.
Yeah, so it's just a question about who's actually running the employer side of the negotiations.
Who's running the employers? It's the National Joint Council. So it's actually the national employers who are operating on behalf of all of the local authorities in the scheme, in the government scheme. So on that basis, it's the majority of councils. So there is a body and there's representatives of the councils within that group. I can share more details, Councillor McLean, in the minutes, because there's people that are nominated to act on behalf of all the councils. There's a group of individuals who are nominated and are representatives of all the local authorities. But when it comes to the they do effectively write to all local authorities that are in the National Joint and negotiating arrangements to talk about affordability.
Yeah, I just thought it might be helpful for members of the employment committee to see who's negotiating on their behalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they do that on the basis of the feedback that we provide for them in terms of what we can afford across the.
Okay, thank you. And perhaps we can discuss the chief executive's appraisal process offline from this meeting, and I can find out a bit more about that and how I can contribute if needed. Thank you, Councillor McLean. Does anybody else have any questions? Jamie, I'm trying to scrutinise the windows at the top of the screen, but please let me know if anybody's got their hands up that I haven't seen.
No, there's no other hands up, I don't believe.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, no other contributions, thank you, members of the committee, for coming together this evening. Thank you, Paul, Jamie, Alison, for facilitating this online for us. And we'll see you at the next meeting. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much.